He's not as cool as the internet cat.
Hey everybody, welcome to Twin Talk, a video discussion show where twin brothers Chris and Kevin drink and draw while talking about comic books, movies, and all things pop culture. We are your hosts, Chris Hart.
Kevin Hart.
And today we're going to be talking about Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 7.
Stick around to the end of the episode to see how our drawing of a Dark Trooper came out. And if you like what you see, subscribe to the channel for more videos.
So here we are, another week of our 2-week quarantine. The wife is still sick. I got sick last week. We're trying to keep things safe here, do our little bit of a lockdown. So while we had this free time, we decided to watch the episode, get after it a little earlier. And since we're not functioning alcoholics, I got my Batman cup here with some coffee. And, sometimes it's just a little too early to drink beer, but we're going to get after it. So Episode 7, or Chapter 15, The Believer, directed by George Miller, formerly known for his Mad Max movies, because this movie is Fury Road in the Star Wars universe. It has the same exact plot, and I honestly loved it. I loved every second of it, all the action, all the explosions, everything was great.
Mad Mando, Fury Road. But we see that it was directed by Rick Famuyiwa, I believe his name was. He was a director in Season 1. Again, that revolving cast of directors. He crushes it in this episode. Everything was working in this episode. The writing, the acting, the directing, the lighting, the cinematography. It checked all the boxes for me.
It starts off, we know from the last episode that Mando's going to try to get Mayfeld out of prison, some sort of prison or the sentence he's been serving since we last saw him in Season 1. And I did not like Bill Burr in Season 1. I thought his acting was very subpar. I even roasted him last episode. I was like, oh, God, we're going to get more bad acting. We're going to get more bad acting from Bill Burr. But he honestly crushes it in this episode right from the get. And I will say the one thing I missed about his character was that, gun on his shoulder. So I always thought that was pretty badass.
Bill Burr, he definitely redeems himself from Season 1. He's definitely playing the heartstrings the whole episode. We open up in a scrapyard of Imperial vehicles. We see that all these TIE fighters are all just in a junkyard. This droid, a.k.a. Chappie, comes up to him and relaying the message from Cara Dune, Gina Carano's Cara Dune, saying that he's about to be released. Inmate 34667 definitely drilled it into our brains because they said it about 4 times. Maybe play those lotto numbers. I don't know.
Yeah, just hand Bill Burr the Academy Award. We're not worthy. We're not worthy. Dude, totally redeems himself.
Totally redeems himself.
And he was excellent in this episode. And we see that it opens up that junkyard. He's serving out his sentence. He's doing the Star Wars equivalent of picking up trash on the highway. He's just scrapping Imperial ships for money. I'm sure they're just to sell those parts or make new things out of it. Right around the corner of the dumps, we see the Slave One is waiting. We know who's on that ship. We know Boba Fett walks out with a new paint job on his suit. Since he got his armor back, he just decided to freshen things up a little bit. He's looking smooth AF with that matte finish.
Boba Fett, more like Boba fitting all this protein powder in my mouth. His armor is looking clean, dude. He definitely sanded and clear coated this thing on the way to the planet. The squad rolls out of the ship looking boss hog. We see that Mayfeld is the #1 draft pick since he knows these Imperial clearances and protocols, and Mando acquires him to get Baby Yoda back. We arrive on the planet Morak. They devise a plan to breach this Imperial refinery, but only those that aren't in the ISB, the IBS, the Irritable Bowel Syndrome, whatever, the database that searches everyone in the galaxy, whoever is not alerted on that, they can access into this refinery. I have no idea. But Boba Fett definitely can't go because even he says, let's just say, they may recognize my face, which I thought was a funny reference to the fact that at one point he was the face of every stormtrooper ever, or the fact that he was Vader's #1 bounty hunter. Yeah, so we see that Mando agrees to go because apparently he wouldn't be in this database or whatever. But the only problem is that no one can see his face, and he's got to kind of disguise himself without bringing all this Beskar armor. So they hijack this stormtrooper crawler, and they're putting on the other guys, the drivers, sweaty hockey gear.
First, in order to do that, though, we see Cara Dune, showing off her skills again by dropping in, kicking ass, taking names, and she just destroys this transport crew. And then there's a transition to, like you said, Bill Burr's putting on wet hockey gear. He's like, "Oh, this guy reeks," which I thought was hilarious, by the way. Like, I'm sure he improvised that.
Mando and Mayfeld, they're the ones that are going to be delivering this Rhydonium, this explosive material. And at first, to me, this scene felt very slow paced. It was kind of like in building the anticipation and the suspense of like, oh, the big climax. I think they recycled like the same shot like 3 times of them like this crawler going. I was like, all right, what's happening here? Then we see some of the best dialogue in the Star Wars franchise.
Yes, I mean, even with Mando going full on Snake Eyes and doing his code of silence, you could still tell a lot of character development. And a very political episode, by the way.
Yeah, for sure.
And we get into a lot of like different belief systems. You know, there's that exposition part where there's dialogue between Mando and Bill Burr's character, and they're just talking about how everybody has that line that they're going to cross eventually because whatever your beliefs are, we only have so much we can take, and then we do what's necessary in order to survive. And we see that play out later on in the episode, which is why they set that up in the script. He believes in that old school way of never taking your helmet off. But then he's run into people like Cobb Vanth, Bo-Katan, you know, all these people, Boba Fett, and all these people take their helmets off, and he's just trying to keep his Old Testament beliefs, really. And he's starting to learn that, you know, maybe he's going to have to adapt in order to do the things that he needs to accomplish.
He's pretty hardcore with that no helmet rule, but I even like how Bill Burr kind of calls him out in a comedic way. He's like, so is it that you can't ditch that helmet or that you can't show your face? Which one is it? I really like what Rick Famuyiwa did with this episode, with the writing, the directing. It really felt, it kept the war aspect in Star Wars. It kept it 100, kept it real. And the fact that, yeah, there's casualties, there's different sides. And I don't know, it was just a very deep conversation he was having with the Star Wars franchise here. We even get a little of that flavor, the serious tone when they're rolling through in this crawler through like this village on this planet Morak. And we see these, I guess, villagers, like these young kids, which I thought were foundlings at first, but we just kind of see their, I guess, the natives of the planet. And it kind of reminds me of almost like, you know, not to get too political, but like Americans in Afghanistan, how there's different sides, there's different views.
Vietnam.
Yeah, Vietnam. Just war in general. I really liked how they did a deep dive into the subject matter.
There's a line Bill Burr's character says, Mayfeld, he's just like, it's like Empire and New Republic, it's all the same to them. You're just invading their land. Yeah,
exactly. Even one of the shots, it shows, which I think is, there was a lot of genius happening in the direction and the writing of this episode. Mando's looking at the kid in the stormtrooper getup, right? We see his perspective. And then immediately the direction flashes over to the kid looking at him when they're rolling by in this thing. And I thought that was just such a little nice touch of flavor with the direction and just seeing the different perspectives.
Yep.
Mando and Mayfield are making their way to this Imperial refinery. We see along the way foreshadowing of this Imperial crawler burned to crisps. And then all of a sudden, hell breaks loose. We see these pirates coming in hot, trying to blow up their ships.
Yeah, they're rolling along. All of a sudden on the intercom, they're just like, Juggernaut 4, watch out, watch out. And then boom, huge explosion up ahead on the road on this little trail that leads them to the refinery. And they're just like, you know, obviously they're not prepared for it because, A, they're not even supposed to be there. And now there's a threat coming in on top of the mission that they're trying to accomplish. So I was like, that was a nice little, like, you know, threw a little wrench in the works there. I was like, oh, that was pretty cool to throw something else on top of it. Add some more suspense, some more action. This is where the Mad Max bit comes in, Fury Road, because they're on this trail to get this vehicle over there to transport, and all of a sudden these pirates, everybody's jumping on top of this thing, and what they're trying to do is, I guess these pirates were part of that planet Morak, and they were just like screw the Empire, and they were just like blowing up their transports with the Rhydonium.
Definitely a Mad Max vibes for sure. We're trying to get from A to B, Fury Road. We got to get somewhere, but then we got this guy on a guitar like
That was my favorite part of Fury Road, is the guy on the like on a slingshot with an amp behind him. It's just like, damn.
The most incredible rock tour that we've seen on film. An incredible action sequence. I really like the choreography. I really like the stakes here of these pirates kind of swarming this crawler. Mando's, you know, only by himself. They can't go too fast. There's so much stakes happening because we got the Rhydonium that might explode. And even we see that he's feeling these punches because he doesn't have his impenetrable Beskar steel armor. And we could see that, you know, his armor's cracking. He's feeling these punches. He's getting hit. He's getting battered and bruised. All seems lost when all of a sudden these TIE fighters save the day. I was so thrown by this. Even the score was like heroic, celebratory. And I was just like, I'm kind of rooting for the bad guys right now.
Absolutely. I loved that because it's like you said, even I was like, yeah, yeah. I was like, the boys are here. They're helping out their teammates, their Imperial teammates. It was just like brotherhood. They got each other's back. And it was honestly really cool seeing that perspective of it. So they enter this refinery and like they're getting welcomed back as heroes, and like everybody's like, yeah, like pat each other's back. They're like dabbing. Everybody's like, like, oh, heroes, you guys saved the day, our brothers and stuff. And like that made me feel bad because I was just like, oh man, like the Empire is just a bunch of people too, doing what they believe is right. I have the newspaper comics from Star Wars, and in the beginning there was like an introduction, and it said good versus evil. Star Wars has always been about good versus evil, and this episode made me question it. I was like, yeah, like it's not so black and white. There is a little bit of gray realm to the universe and the galaxy, and this episode highlighted that the most to me.
Yeah, I felt the same exact way. I was like, even I think Mayfeld says it. He was like, I never thought you'd be happy to see a stormtrooper, right? And even as an audience member, again, with the score, with the way they came in, like the cavalry to save the day, I was like pretty hyped seeing the TIE fighters because obviously it needed to further the plot. These bad guys were doing, I guess, a good deed in that moment, and that's how we were celebrating it. But even all the Disney extras I thought were so funny. Like you said, they go into like this hub of like all these fighters, and they're all just like shaking their fists, cheering. All the Disney extras are like, probably taking selfies on set. Gonna tweet about it later. But then we're quickly reminded that, these are bad guys. When we see like the commander, I think his name was Valen Hess. He's chilling like a villain in the Imperial break room. He's taking a break after killing everybody's planets every now and then. Very Inglourious Bastards feeling, very Christoph Waltz tension here. I don't know the actor's name, but man, this guy, he brought his A game.
Yeah, he's either a quality actor or Hitler's son. Either way, he killed it in this episode. That guy was so believable. There's been a lot of like quality Imperial actors in the Disney era of Star Wars. Like
everybody but General Hux has been quality actor. Yeah. General Hux was a yoke.
So they waste no time. As soon as they get congratulated by all these Imperial troopers, they make their way to what I assume is the break room, and there's just like this Imperial ATM chilling in there that they got to use the data stick to get the coordinates of Moff Gideon. But Bill Burr tries going in there, and Mayfeld, he's just like, I can't go in there, man. I used to serve under this dude, Valen Hess. Probably knows that he's a hard ass, and he's like, if he recognizes me, we're outed. We got to get out of here. And Mando's like, absolutely not. Go in there, do what you got to do. And then he's like, I can't do it. I'm sorry. So Mando's just like, all right, I want to do it. But we see that Mayfeld says in order to do it, it has to access your facial scan.
So much tension in this scene. Even the way the break room was like, again, the cinematography, the way it was lit, the way that just, the little bit of light was coming in with like the dust and everything. And Pedro Pascal, we see Pedro Pascal on set as the Mandalorian. And
confirmed he's on set here and there.
So much just attention. My stomach was turning during this scene.
Yeah, not since the bar scene of Inglourious Bastards have I had such diarrhea. It could have been the coffee. This is like my third cup. He's like, trooper. I'm just like...
We know that it's going to be okay, but that's how you know it's well written, is the fact that
it's great suspense.
We feel these stakes, yeah. We know we're going to get Baby Yoda back. We know that, Mandalorian's going to be fine. He'll probably wind up ditching the helmet by the end of the season. But, man, the writing in this season is definitely picked up the pace from season 1. And like you said, he breaks his one rule, almost like the Dark Knight Joker, that he's got this code to live by about Mandalore never taking his helmet off, never letting people see his face. And he ditches that, again, all rules are out the window. They let out a prisoner. He takes off his helmet. So we see even these good guys making kind of questionable decisions.
Yeah, so we see he takes the helmet off, the facial scan, and then he walks over to him and he's just like, what's your TK number? And obviously, Mando has no idea. He's just like, and then he pretends to be deaf because Bill Burr comes and saves him. He's like, oh, this is XYZ, blah, blah, blah. And he just starts doing the BS artist stuff to get him out of there. And he's like, you weren't dismissed. And then he says, you guys were the 2 troopers that got your Idonium safely. You're the only ones. He's like, gin, baby.
He's like, shots.
Like, he's just like, we're hitting the bar. He's like, get the glasses, get the shot glasses. We're doing it. Jägermeister for days. We see that Bill Burr's character just starts talking about this mission, I guess, Burn and Khan in the past when he was serving under him. And he's like, I made a lot of hard decisions that day. So yeah, a lot of people died. 10,000 people, they lost their whole troops. And throughout this scene, you can see Bill Burr's character, he's just having like this like moral dilemma. And he's just like, oh, like, was it good? Was it for the cause, a good cause of the Empire? And Valen Hess, of course, that evil guy he is like, yeah, he's like, all Imperial heroes. And he's like, oh, dead heroes. We see, was it good for them? Was it good for their families? You could just feel like the turning of Bill Burr's character, the tension rising, where eventually leads to him just being like, you know what, I'm done with this guy. Boom, and just like shoots him right in the chest. And then they know that they're in trouble. Mando and Bill Burr are just sitting there looking at each other and they're like, okay, it's go time, because everybody's about to come after them.
Yeah, I really liked this conversation too. Again, just more heavy dialogue, heavy subject matter. This is what I wanted out of FN 297 or whatever, Finn, This is what I wanted.
Don't even get me started on Finn.
Don't even get me started on Finn.
Right.
This is what I wanted from The Force Awakens, of this rogue stormtrooper dealing with this, guilt, this regret of the murder, the killings that they've done, all in the name of the Empire, of order. Earlier in the episode, I thought that Bill Burr's character, Mayfeld, was going to maybe backstab, betray our heroes, because he wasn't getting much out of the deal for breaking out of prison and helping them with this mission. But we see that he's got a heart, he's got a reason for his hardcore disposition, his violent disposition, and he won everyone over in this episode. He definitely had a redemption as a character.
Chaos ensues after they kill Valen Hess. All these troopers are after them, and they're like, they're like outside on this ledge, and Cara Dune and Fennec Shand are just like lighting all these people up. The slave one's coming in, trying to get that, he's their getaway driver. They're running to it, they jump on it, and as they're taking off, we see Bill Burr just like, it's like, yeah, hand me that gun. It's just like, boom, lights the thing up, destroys the whole Imperial refinery.
The heroes, they save the day. After all that tension, after all those stakes, we see that they make it out all right. And Boba Fett's ship, the Slave One, he drops this, what we saw in Attack of the Clones, this like seismic charge, blows the TIE fighters to smithereens.
We finally get answered the question. Last week we were talking about how the hell you sit in a Slave One. You're laying down, he's standing up. They're like, all right, he's like, come get us, we're getting out of here. He was like laying down. He's like, all right, and then he starts like going. So that was pretty cool to see like him take off like that, which I'm pretty sure they showed in Attack of the Clones, but as a kid, I
wasn't thinking about that. Yeah, we weren't thinking about how his seat is positioned. We were just like, oh.
This episode bookends Moff Gideon's speech with Mando. He's got a little message for him. He starts putting him on. And what's the line he says, Kev? He's just like, you have something I want.
He repeats what Moff Gideon said in season 1, and we saw in the recap. He's like, you have something that belongs to me. He says, he means more to me than you'll ever know. I thought that was so badass. The way he's basically like, I'm coming for you.
Everybody's nipples are hard. Heavy flow to the nether regions. We're excited for the finale. I'm so hyped to see Boba Fett in the finale with them, like everybody working together. Guns are going to be blazing from all sides. Moff Gideon, the Empire, Boba Fett, Fennec Shand, Mando, everybody, Cara Dune. Everybody's going to be like throwing in the gauntlet for this Battle Royale episode.
I want to see Moff Gideon, instead of being like this lurking presence, I want to see him get kind of like dirty, put his hand-to-hand combat with that darksaber that he's been flexing the whole series.
Yeah,
I want to see maybe Bo-Katan come back. And she was looking for this darksaber, so I want to see if they bring her back in the finale. And again, Boba Fett's here. I'm concerned that there might be a death, like a sacrifice in the finale, whether that's Bo-Katan or Boba. I'm assuming that it would probably be Boba Fett because he's the older character. He's whatever. But if they have these spin-offs rumored or confirmed, I have no idea, then maybe we'll make it out all right. But I could kind of see them going in that direction of eventually, now or in a spin-off, Boba Fett redeeming himself too and sacrificing himself for the greater good.
Yeah, I think they should do that in the confines of The Mandalorian. There's really no need to have a Boba Fett show. He works well in this, and he plays well. He's not a man of much dialogue, so why make a series about him when he could just hold his own in this series? And every time he shows up, fans get that flavor of Boba Fett, and they get hyped for that, because I think he works well in this. More importantly, they need to release a Kenner toy of that new paint job he's got, because he's looking so cool.
Yeah, he's looking mean and clean, baby. He just came back, so I don't know if they're going to kill him off that quickly. If they do, I have no idea.
That would be the biggest crap on Boba Fett fans. Like, oh, he died in 83. Nobody saw him, for almost 40 years. He comes back, gets a sick new look, dies.
Just kill him off.
Wrapping up here, what are your final thoughts on the episode?
I thought, this episode was firing on all cylinders between the direction, the writing, the acting, the cinematography, all of it. It checked, again, all the boxes for me. Director Rick Famuyiwa, hopefully I'm saying that right, crushed it. This episode was so good.
I'm already looking forward to the finale. It's just going to kind of be like this like battle royale in my eyes. That's what I'm expecting from it.
Anyways, that about wraps up today's episode of Twin Talk. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Comment below to join the discussion. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content. See you next time. Peace!